Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Beth. I am a 36-year-old attorney living in the DC area with my husband. And if you're new here, I would love it if you would subscribe. And for today's video, we are going to be playing with the new Bloomin collection from Wet n Wild. So this, I think, is their Valentine's Day collection, although living in the DC area, I tend to think of cherry blossoms, which is what they're going for with the Bloomin inspiration. I think of that as more of a kind of March to April type thing because we have the National Cherry Blossom Festival. And as a resident of the DC area, I kind of feel obliged to review cherry blossom collections when they come out. So last year, for example, I did a review video of the MAC cherry blossom collection that they did. So I'll link that for you if you are curious about that collection. But yeah, this is going to be a demo and first impressions video. I try to incorporate as many Wet n Wild products as I had in my collection, but I didn't have enough for a full face. So I'll let you know what I use to create this look as we go along. And I will have timestamps down below, so if you just want to get straight to a particular item and you don't want to hear me jab around about other products, then you are welcome to just skip around. And without further ado, I'll go ahead and get into the products. I'm not quite sure how I left things when I started filming because obviously I'm filming this after I created the makeup look. So hopefully this is a fairly smooth transition here, but yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So I purchased this from the store Five Below, and I think Five Below is the first store to carry it. I didn't see it online anywhere. I think eventually CVS and Walmart should have it, and I'm assuming it will be on the Wet n Wild website as well. But so far I just kind of stumbled across it in store. I wasn't really planning on picking up or reviewing this collection, but it kind of presented itself to me and I just felt like it was meant to be. Kind of like with the Flower Beauty and Charlie's Angels palette that I swatched and reviewed for you guys. It was just kind of a right place, right time kind of situation. I had gone into Five Below to pick up some of the Rebel Rose brushes that Wet n Wild had put out. I think they first released these a while ago, so I wanted to display them for Valentine's Day as kind of a decor item. So I purchased one set that had like the eye brush and the blush brush, and I put the blush brush in this little like bud vase I think that I got from Michael's. So kind of like how I did my Christmas decor closet, I do plan to film another video for Valentine's Day like that. And I ended up buying this was kind of ridiculous, but I bought a dozen of these little eyeshadow brushes to kind of make it look like a little bouquet here. And this jar again was also from Michael's. The pearls inside I had, but those were just kind of a way to raise the level of the brushes. So I'm not sure if I will be using these brushes today with the eyeshadow look. I haven't quite decided. But anyway, that is why I went into Five Below. So I did try to pull some Wet n Wild items that I already had in my collection. This won't be a full face, but I tried to pull in some other items I already had. And I guess I'll go ahead and share with you what I did end up picking up here. So I ended up going to 3 different Five Below stores. I was in the first store where I first saw the collection and the display. I might have a picture of that if I recall. And I think I purchased everything except the blush because all of the blushes in that particular store were shattered. So I don't know if it was a shipping issue or something like that. So I guess I'll just pull out the first item here. This is the Bloomin Lip Mask. And I probably should have opened all of these packages before starting to film because this is going to be a pain. What I typically do, and you know, be safe while you're doing this, but I usually use like an X-Acto knife and I'll try to slice where the kind of seam in the package is. Because personally, one of the things I hate most about drugstore packaging is that you get that sticky residue on the packaging if you know, just tear off the sticker and there's some adhesive left. This is sealed, which is kind of nice. And this was $4 at Five Below. So I have no idea if the prices will be the same at Wet n Wild's website or any other retailer, but this was $4. It has like a very kind of artificially sweet smell, and when I rub my finger in it, it's fairly hard. Like I'm kind of pushing in a little bit and it's not really disturbing the product. So it's kind of a thinner texture, I think. And it does instruct you to peel it to, I guess, see the ingredients. I'll go ahead and give you a close-up look at the packaging though. I mean, for like drugstore packaging, it's a pretty design. It's not obviously the most luxurious and high-end packaging, but I think it's okay. If you're familiar with their kind of products generally, I don't think you would be too surprised. I feel like I'm performing surgery trying to get this thing up. Okay, so we have the ingredients. So it looks like the first ingredient is petrolatum, which is not surprising. Then it is hydrogenated vegetable oil, sunflower seed oil, flavor aroma. It has sweet almond oil, which I really enjoy. It has vitamin E, caprylic capric triglyceride, grapeseed oil. It has coconut oil, cannabis sativa seed oil. That's interesting. You would think with an ingredient like that, they would put it on the label. Let's see, raspberry seed oil, cocoa seed butter, water, soybean oil. So I'll maybe take a picture and insert it. So if you have any concerns about the ingredients, you can check that out. It does say that it's not tested on animals. So the first ingredient is petrolatum. So if you don't want to use that ingredient for whatever reason, just be aware of that. I think buying a product like this is kind of more for the novelty than wanting to buy maybe the best lip mask on the planet. But it does have a surprising number of actually like nourishing ingredients for your lips, given the kind of price point and everything. Okay, so that is the first item. Next up we have this Bloomin Face Mist, which looks like it has some like iridescence or something in there. I need to shake it up so it kind of distributes, but I think you can see there is some kind of shimmer or something going on in there. And this was $5. So I think with Five Below, everything is $5 or less. So again, I'm not sure how it will compare at other retailers. For this one, first few ingredients are water, butylene glycol, glycerin, and then it does have denatured alcohol. It does have synthetic florflogopite, which I think is that kind of shimmer ingredient, and does have flavor or aroma. Again, it has caprylic or capric triglyceride. So that's what stands out to me the most. It's basically water, glycerin, and denatured alcohol, and then that kind of shimmer ingredient. So again, I think this is kind of more for the novelty, but I'm curious what the synthetic effect on the skin will be. And this is called Miss Cherry Blossom. It's a limited edition product. Oh, the lip treatment was called Sugar Pink Blossom. So they only have, I think, one variation, but they did go ahead and give them names. This one is made in Mexico, by the way, and this is also made in Mexico. Not tested on animals. And it does say shake well before use. I feel like with these packages, everything's kind of printed on the shrink wrap, so you kind of have to hunt for all of the information. And hopefully I won't tear this too badly. Trying to preserve all the information on it. And I don't think it has instructions or anything for how to use this, but I think I will go ahead and spray my face now as kind of a primer step, and then probably spray it at the end as well. So go ahead and give it a shake, and let's see how this does. Okay, so I just tried to spray this half of my face, and keep in mind that like the moisture will, you know, obviously make it look more dewy. I think it does have a scent to it that I can detect. I think it's the same as the lip mask as well. Feels a little tacky, that's probably the glycerin. I'll go ahead and spray my face now. It's not, how do I explain this? It's not the worst spray I've ever experienced, but it's not the best either. I think I can probably use it over finished makeup, so we'll try that out, but it is kind of a more forceful spray. It's not one of those really fine mists where you can barely feel it kind of going on. So those were the first two items. And then they also have this sponge, which has some really cute kind of packaging and has that printing on the sponge itself. And this was $4. And let's see, it says this Holy Grail blending sponge. So coming out strong there. This Holy Grail blending sponge flawlessly applies makeup for a professional looking finish, provides a streak-free, effortless application. Designed with a unique hydrophilic material to ensure less product waste. Can be used wet or dry. It's cruelty-free and vegan, not tested on animals. This one is made in China. So I think I will probably dampen this. And I'll show you my little trick again. If I want to hold on to the box for some reason, I will slip a metal spatula underneath the lid and just kind of ease it out. I'm not sure if this plastic packaging is recyclable, but anyway. So that's what the sponge looks like. You can see it has a flat side with the kind of petal embossing. They feel kind of flat. So hopefully you won't have like a, petal shaped imprint on your cheek when you use this. So I will use that today, but first I want to apply some other complexion products. So kind of mixing high and low as I do on my channel, I'm going to go in with the Charlotte Tilbury corrector. I purchased one from Wet n Wild like years ago, but one, I think the corrector I have from them is a little old at this point, and two, I think it was out of stock on their website, so I'm not sure if it's a product that they're still carrying or not. I did just watch Jen Love's reviews, or Jen Love, I guess her channel is now. She just did a live stream, I think on Sunday, where she was talking about other brands besides BH Cosmetics, who just declared bankruptcy, that might be in trouble, based on consumer perception anyway. And I think she mentioned Wet n Wild is one of them. So I don't know if there's anything to that or not. I did, I think, purchase the SpongeBob collection that they released, I think sometime last year, and I think I saw it in store kind of recently, so I'm not really sure. But this next product that I have, I think has been getting some hype. This is the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator, and I have two different shades here. I have both Fair and Porcelain, and I have tried this before, but it's been a while. And this one is still sealed, so I must have used the Porcelain shade. So I'll go ahead and do the same today. I was kind of trying to go back through my purchases and kind of see what I had purchased from Wet n Wild recently. But I think it was a little hard because with some products you just purchase in store. I purchase a lot of my more high-end products online, so it's a little easier to kind of keep track. So I'm just going to start by kind of spreading this out with my fingers. Might have applied too much. I think it does blend in very nicely though. Definitely more light coverage. Okay, so I just dampened the sponge and it did definitely get bigger. I'm kind of curious what will happen if I use this side with the flowers on it, just to see if it leaves any kind of... Yeah, I don't see anything. And it didn't really pick up anything on the sponge either. The nice thing about these sponges is that you can kind of set them down with the flat side so they don't roll as much. So anyway, I have two concealers from Wet n Wild that I don't think I've ever tried. I purchased these a while ago. These are their Mega Last Incognito Concealer, and I have it in the shade Fair and Fair Beige. I think I might go in with Fair Beige. It looks a little pinker and not quite as stark. A lot of times I do wear the lightest shade in a foundation, but I have to be careful because if I just default to that, then I can wind up with something that really just kind of washes me out. Okay, so let's see how this product does. Has that kind of flat paddle style applicator, And I'm just going to go in like so. So far, so good. And then I'm going to take, I think, the rounded side of the sponge. And I like to start by just kind of using my finger to distribute the product. Once that is kind of distributed, then using this to blend. I think it's a little bit less tapered than the Beauty Blender, which is what I often use, but I think that applied very nicely. It's a good amount of coverage too. While I was using it, it did remind me a bit of the Kosas concealer. I don't know if there's kind of any similarity in ingredients or anything. The components are different, so I'm not saying that it's like a dupe or anything, but I think it kind of had a similar texture to it. The Kosas also has that kind of paddle, and the Wet n Wild I think is actually a better color for me. So the Kosas is the more yellow toned and the Wet n Wild is the more pink. I do struggle a little bit with the shade range in Kosas. So this is the shade 0.5N, which I think is the lightest shade that they've come out with, but that was an addition to their range. So before they came out that, I think the lightest shade was not quite light enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and swatch this fair shade from Wet n Wild. And I think you can definitely see that is lighter, more yellow than the shade I tried on. So that is the Wet n Wild Fair, that I think was Wet n Wild Fair Beige, and this is the Kosas. But yeah, texture-wise, I think they're kind of similar. So if you have been curious about the Kosas concealer, maybe check out that Wet n Wild. I can try to do a dedicated like comparison video if you all find that interesting. I probably will set my under eyes, but it's not like creasing or anything right off the bat, just talking for a few minutes here. I mean, a little bit up by my lash line. But like I said, I am 36, so I'm not a spring chicken by any means. I'll quickly throw on this Kosas Brow Gel. I think Wet n Wild does have some brow products, including some newer brow products, but I didn't have any in my collection. And I think in between my eyebrows, it looks just a tad bit streaky, so I'm just gonna kind of tap over. It's always a little bit of a struggle in between the eyebrows just because the skin there is just a little bit drier. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good, pretty natural. It feels a little tacky still. So before I apply powder, I'm just going to do some contouring. So I'm using the Fenty Matchstick in Amber, which is what I like to use just on the tip of my nose because it's just super easy to use that. And then I'll take my BK 101 brush and just kind of buff that out. And then to help out with my quarantine double chin here, I like to use the KVD Mod Con contour, just because it's a little bit easier to blend out, especially underneath the jaw. So now that we have that applied, I'll just quickly powder with the LYS translucent powder, just to kind of make sure that the powder products just blend nicely. I do have a nice glow on my face though. And then going super high end, this is my favorite bronzer, the Gucci one, just because it has a really nice cool undertone. And I feel like this is one kind of high-end product that I think I will eventually hit pan on. So it does kind of soften the blow, knowing that, you know, it's something that I'm getting my money's worth. Okay, so that was the Rougher number 22 brush. I think I'll go ahead and apply the blush next. So I think, like I was saying, this blush, the first store I went to, they were all shattered. I think they had like a full box full display full, but every single one was shattered. So I don't know if it was like a shipping issue or if someone just dropped it or whatnot. This is called Flower Power. And the second store I went to, they had, I think, like one in stock, but it was shattered. And I finally went to one last store. So you can see I was very committed to this video at this point. And at first I wasn't sure if they even had it in store, but I was walking around and I finally realized that one of the employees was actually putting out this product. And so this one luckily was not shattered. So like I said, this is in the shade Flower Power. This is very hard to see because it's white on pink writing. This was also made in Mexico, but it is cruelty-free and vegan, so that must mean that it doesn't have any carmine in it. The actual packaging of this, like, I don't know if you can see, the sticker is, I don't know, kind of awkward on there. Like, it kind of crinkles a bit, and if I can just kind of slice through a package and get the product out without having to like take everything off, that is my preference. But hopefully this one you can see, it just gets a little kind of messy in there. So let's swatch it. It's not the like smoothest, creamiest formula I've ever experienced. It's a pretty color. It has kind of a light shimmer in it. It's a little on the sheer side. So if you have a darker complexion, I'm not sure how well this will show up for you. So using the Rougher number 5 brush, and it's not clean, but I try to knock off the excess product. Okay, so let's see kind of how this does. Okay, definitely getting pigment. And you know, if you're not super comfortable with makeup, or you just want something that's going to be super quick and you don't have to worry about kind of blending it out, a lesser pigmented blush can be nice for that, but obviously you do want it to show up on your skin tone. So I'll try to build it up a little bit just so you can get an idea. So I think it is buildable, but as I shared with you my like complexion shades, you can kind of get an idea for my skin tone. It's a pretty color. I do see some faint sparkle on the cheek, so if you do not like that, just be aware. But I think it's pretty fine. So it's not the worst offender I've ever encountered when it comes to sparkly blushes. Okay, so next up I have another Wet n Wild product. This is their highlighter in the shade Blossom Glow. Do you guys remember when everyone was losing their mind over this particular product? So I'm going to use my Anastasia A23 brush, and this is like a light pink shade, so add some additional glow. Again, it's not the most beaming highlighter I've ever used, but it is definitely there. And you don't always want a super beaming highlighter, so if your preference is for something more natural, or you just want something that maybe you can wear a little bit more subtly for daytime, it's worth looking at these highlighters, especially for like a drugstore option. I think people also talk about like the Milani and the Maybelline highlighters. So I think you have some good options, but with this obviously being Wet n Wild and also the name being Blossom Glow, I just thought it was super appropriate to use that one. All right, so before I zoom in for the eyes here, the eyeshadow quad is called Garden Party. I just have to show you, all the printing is basically white on a very light pink, so it's very hard to see. Okay, so one thing I do want to point out while I'm editing this is that Wet n Wild is marketing this as a pigment palette, which, as you may know from other palettes, means that some ingredients in the palette are not deemed safe for the immediate eye area. So I think on this one, again, it's very hard to see, but on the back, there's a little asterisk next to the glitter shade, so it says not for use around eyes. And then I also did want to point out that this palette does contain carmine. A lot of times the redder shades that do have synthetic red ingredients or red pigments are deemed products not for the immediate eye area because of staining. So I'm fairly confident that Wet n Wild has put cosmetic glitter in this palette, which is generally more round in shape than like craft glitter that you would get at the craft store, which you should never use around your eyes for sure. I do apply this glitter to my eyes. It did kind of stay around various specks for a couple days, so it was a little difficult to remove, but I would say if you want to be 100% safe, do not use the glitter shadow around your eyes. I guess you could use it on your cheeks. It's personally not something I would care to do, but I just wanted to give you that information so you can make your own informed choice. I'm sure they did that just for the kind of aesthetic reasons and everything, but it does make it very difficult. So that is what the actual quad looks like. Very cute printing on the cover there. And let's wipe off this blush swatch. So I think this was one of the more expensive items. This was $5. So far the face mist was $5, which was kind of surprising. This quad was $5, and then the lip mask was $4, the sponge was $4, and the lip glosses I will show you in a moment were also $4 each. Okay, so I guess my little tip with this one, it has a perforation right under the barcode. So I think if you can kind of slice through that and then just pull up to remove what's covering up the clasp. Okay, so that is what the shades look like. There's one pretty like cherry blossom embossing on one of the pans. And these are all some variety of shimmer or sparkle. I did just swatch this shade, and I think if I weren't trying to swatch it, I probably could have just dipped in and kind of preserved more of the embossing, but there's still a good amount there. Okay, so this is like a pressed glitter. So that is what they look like on my fingers. And these are not kind of the, I guess, smoothest, most buttery formula. I think that first shade there, if they just made that a matte, I think it would have made a little bit more sense. They probably could have made it a deep brown as well to kind of just give it a little bit more dimension. Like it's kind of like, I don't know, it's like basically my skin tone but with a little bit of light sparkle in it. So maybe some people will be able to use that as like a highlighter shade for the inner corner or the brow bone, but I'm not sure it's going to do much for me. So I do have kind of glitter on my hand. I don't know if I have a dedicated glitter glue, so that's going to be interesting. I do have an eye primer, so I'm going to use the Fenty eye primer. I usually use some kind of primer for my shadow. It does tend to crease on me if I don't. I think I'm getting glitter on my eyelid just because it was on my hands and now it's kind of sticking to my face. So it's definitely kind of a commitment when you go in with that shade. Okay, so I'm going to start with a Sigma large fluff brush. This is their E50, and go into the lightest shade. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put that all over the lid. just to kind of set the primer. I mean, do you guys see that sparkle? I was debating whether to use that shade, but since I already have glitter all over my face, I might as well. It is building up a little bit darker. So I'm going to take a Sonia G crease brush and go into the darker shade with that kind of embossing and put that into the crease. And then I'm going to use the Sonia G flat definer brush and go into that same shade underneath. And I don't think I ever set my concealer. Okay, so now for the fun part. So I think I'll start by using a Rougher number 21 brush and go into this shade here. This is a dry brush to start, so we'll see how this does. And this is probably gonna go all over the lid. So with the dry brush anyway, it's a pretty kind of light, sparkly wash. So I'm gonna take this spray again and spray the brush and see what happens when I use that shade wet. You definitely get more color. So that's pretty. I think, again, it'd be nice to have a matte brown just to kind of add some depth. Obviously, I can pull in that shade from other palettes. I think now, I'm a little nervous about this. I'm gonna take this glitter and see what happens when I just tap it onto the lid. This is like if you're going to a karaoke night in Japan or something. The DC cherry blossom trees actually came over from Japan as some kind of like, I don't know, goodwill type gift. So obviously Japan is well known for its cherry blossoms, as is I think like Vancouver. Okay. So that is it, just popped onto the lid. So again, if you wanted to kind of go all out with, you know, this kind of full cherry blossom disco, then you certainly could. So I think that's basically it for the quad. I used all of the shades and that is what it looks like after using them. So they held up pretty well. This packaging does feel a little bit cheap. You can see the hand is actually kind of like, how do I describe this? It's not a flat back of plastic. It's like there's those outline of the pans. So that could be a little annoying. I mean, you could always just try to remove all the labels and everything. But I think that just kind of comes with the territory when you are buying stuff from the drugstore. So I'm going to use this Makeup by Mario pencil in the shade Perfect Brown. And I would have done this off camera, but I'm just curious to see kind of how it applies over glitter. Feel it falling down a little bit. And I think I got it on my pencil as well. This is a super creamy eyeliner. So if you have one that doesn't transfer quite as well, it might be a little bit more of a struggle, but I think I was definitely able to get a good amount there. And actually, after I've applied one eye, I just remembered that I did have this other eyeliner from Wet n Wild. This was one of the Allure, I think it was their 2020 Best of Beauty. This is their breakup proof eyeliner in the shade Blackest Black. And I'm normally not like a huge black eyeliner person because I just find it a little harsh. This is one of those like twist ups, and it is a little less creamy. Let's see. I need a little bit more. Yeah, this is just a little bit more difficult to work with, so I'm gonna go back to the Mario. If you're looking for a good pencil liner like this, kind of, I guess, at the drugstore or kind of drugstore adjacent, the Pixie ones are pretty good. You can find those at Target. And I think I've had good luck with ones from Milani. Okay, so I think that is it for the liner. I'll just call it there. So I'm going to hop off camera to apply mascara, and then I will be back for the lips. Okay, so the mascara is on. I used my usuals, the Clinique Bottom Lash Mascara on the bottom lashes and the Tarte Lights Cameras Lashes on the upper lashes. And so all we have left is the lip glosses from this collection. So I think I'll start off by swatching these, and then I will figure out what I want to do in terms of a lip liner. So these are the Pluming Lip Gloss, and this one is in Bloom Time. It's the kind of more iridescent shade. You can see they carried over that really pretty like cherry blossom print. And this one is, it has some sparkle in it, but it's a finer sparkle. This one is called Baby Bloomer, which is kind of cute. Getting into these is like Fort Knox sometimes. The good news about the tubes is that they usually have like a perforated section. So this one is the Baby Bloomer shade, and they have that same kind of paddle style of applicator. They have the same kind of fruity scent as the lip mask. So it's a pretty, I don't know, like thick formula, I guess. There's honestly no way I'm going to be able to read the ingredients on these. I don't think they have any kind of like pepper ingredient or anything to make them plumping. Okay, so I did manage to piece together the ingredients and put them on a dark background so I could actually see what's going on here. And I think that capsicum ingredient there is a type of pepper extract. So that, I think, in combination with the ginger root oil and the peppermint oil in here will actually give you that plumping effect where the blood rushes to your lips and makes them look more juicy. So there are those types of ingredients in this product. Just wanted to let you know that in case you are sensitive to any of them. I will let you know if anything starts to tingle. So those are the two shades. I'm wondering if I could actually kind of layer them. All right, so I'm just gonna apply this one. I really wish they had used black font because it's just, I can't read it. So this pinker one, so I'm gonna go ahead and just apply this. Definitely kind of a milkier look. They feel nice, but they're not amazing, if that makes sense. Like, I definitely still prefer the Pat McGrath glosses, which are obviously a much higher price point, but if you can get them on sale for half off, they're like $14, so $10 more, but if you can swing it, I think, prefer that formula. This is the like iridescent sparkly shade. I might actually prefer the other one. I wonder what happens if I mix them. So I think I will like having a liner underneath this, and I have a few different shades here. I think I am starting to feel something. I don't know if it's like a ingredient that's plumping or if it's just, you know, an ingredient that my lips don't particularly like. It's not like super painful or anything. I can just kind of feel something. So I do have their gel lip liners, which I really liked for a minute there. I think I might actually go in with this darker shade. This one is Plum Together, and then next to it I have Lay Down the Mauve and then Bear to Comment, I think. And again, these are just like the twist up style. So yeah, so I'm not a huge fan of the kind of plumping glosses, so I probably wouldn't have purchased these if not for the video. So you can see these are like super creamy. So if you like that kind of texture with your lip liners, and then I'm going to just put some of this on the back of my hand. It's a little difficult to kind of get out, and then tap that. It's not going to be the most like budge proof lip liner, and then taking some of that other shade as well. So that is what the lips look like. Okay, so that is it for the finished look, and yes, I did change out my headband. Let me know what you guys think of this collection, if you plan on keeping your eye out for it popping up at a store or a website near you. So I think for me personally, the lip glosses would be a pass, just because I don't really enjoy the texture, and I do feel a little bit of that kind of tingling, so it's just not something I really look for in my lip products, so I probably would have skipped on those. The blush is really pretty. It's not like the most remarkable shade. I would say if you have fair skin, I think it'd be really pretty, but if you have like medium tan or deeper, I think maybe wait to see if anyone else reviews it that's similar to you in skin tones. So really cute little design on the package. Again, the packaging itself is kind of cheap, but it is Wet n Wild, so we can't expect too much. The eyeshadow quad I think is fun depending on how you feel about glitter. I think if I were like going out wearing this, I would probably hunt around for a glitter glue, but it's doing okay so far. I think a lot of what I had on my face and everything was where I'd, you know, swatched it on my hand and then it was getting on my face when I was applying it. I think I could have used some other matte neutrals, especially a dark brown. So I don't know how much kind of variation you're going to get with this quad, but I think most people, when they pick this up, they're just kind of looking for something fun. You're getting a very specific look from it, especially with that glitter. I don't mind it. Usually I don't kind of jump for joy when there's a glitter in a palette, but again, this is kind of a very specific theme to the collection and everything, so I don't hate it. I would have changed a few things, but I think it's fun for what it is. The sponge was really nice. I don't know if I've tried Wet n Wild sponges before, but if you like the shape and I don't know, you're in need of a new sponge, I think it's perfectly decent. And what am I missing? Oh, the lip mask. I would probably skip on the lip mask. It wasn't terrible, but I'll probably be reaching for other lip products. If you're very picky about the scent of your lip products, it does have a very strong scent to it, which you may or may not enjoy. And the spray, I think it was nice. I could feel the glycerin. Kind of gave a little bit of tackiness to the face. It does have that kind of shimmer in it as well. Oh, I forgot to spray my face. Hold on. Again, not the finest mist. That is how it looks like with one side of the face sprayed again. So it feels nice. If you have used their sprays before and you've enjoyed them, this one might be a fun one to pick up. It does make me a little nervous that it has denatured alcohol in it so far up. I'm not a huge kind of face spray person to begin with, and I certainly don't want to use something too often that's going to potentially dry out my skin. So that's everything, and obviously I forgot to use the little flower brushes that I also picked up from Wet n Wild. So that's it for the Bloomin collection. I always think of Bloomin Onion whenever I see it. But as far as other products, I was, again, super impressed with the Tinted Hydrator. I thought the concealer was great. I had tried their lip liners before, so I was pretty familiar with those. So if you enjoy kind of a really creamy lip liner, you might like those. And did I use anything else from Wet n Wild? The eyeliner was kind of a bust for me. I don't necessarily like that style of eyeliner. But yeah, definitely give these complexion products a try from Wet n Wild if you haven't already. And the highlighters, of course, are very well known. So they have a variety of different shades to suit a lot of different skin tones. So if you haven't checked them out already, I think they're definitely a good option. So I think that's everything I could possibly say about this collection. This video is going to be a lot of fun to edit, I'm sure. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.